Okay, for number 25. Oh, man, look at all these diggity dogs. Okay, do you guys remember what this weird thing right here means? That means f of g of 3. You got to start from the inside out. You got to plug the 3 into the g function first. And whatever you get, you plug that into the f function. Okay, now B and D are similar types of problems. Instead of writing D like this, I could have written D like this. Just so you know, they're the same problem. The little like of thing, that little open dot, that's what this means. Okay, all right. Finding the domain of this, you just got to make sure the denominator does not equal 0. So you take the denominator, set it equal to 0, so you can find what domain, what the x's cannot be. This little -1, that means inverse. And so how do you do that? This is what you do. Now this one's a fun one. We have y equals x squared plus 2x plus 1. Notice that I changed the f of x to a y. All right, so this is what you do. And you don't have to do it this way. It's kind of corny, the first part. You just switch the x's and the y. Okay, so that's what I did. Now your job is to get the y alone. That's going to be this. Okay, so let's see that. How do I get the y alone here? This is what you do. You got to complete the square. There's no other way to do this. Some of you guys are thinking, oh, I'm going to factor that dude. No, factoring doesn't do anything for you. You got to complete the square.
It is completed.
Holy junk, it is completed. This is a perfect square? All right, that's good news. You know why? Because now we can go x equals y plus 1, and then we have a squared. This is why that's so nice. Now you can square root to get rid of that squared. This is plus or minus because we're square rooting inside of an equation. Now we have y plus 1 equals plus or minus the square root of x. And then I would subtract 1 from both sides to get y equals -1 plus or minus the square root of x. And then we have the trick here. Is this a function? That's the trick.
Function.
Is it a function?
This one that we're doing right now.
-1 plus or minus the square root of x. Is this a function? No, that is not a function. How do you know? Because you're going to get two different y values for one x value. See the plus or minus sign? Like, okay, for example, let's plug in 1. If I plug in 1, I get -1 plus or minus the square root of 1. What is the square root of 1?
-1.
1, right? So now I have -1 plus 1. What does that give me? 0. -1 minus 1.
-2.
Holy snap, I get two y values for one x value? That is not a function, people.
Oh no.
It's so tricky wiki, isn't it? So it says find the inverse function, but the inverse function actually doesn't exist. But the process that I did to solve it, that's exactly how you do it. All right, so you do the same thing for this dude over here. We're going to take the x, or the g function, which is y equals x minus 5. We're going to flip it. We have x equals y minus 5. I have to add 5 to both sides. Now you have x plus 5. Once you get the y alone, you found the inverse function. The inverse function here is x plus 5.